Alright, as we're preparing for our exponential test, I wanted to go over a few extra review questions just to make sure that you're ready for whatever you may see tomorrow. So describe the pattern in each sequence. So this first pattern, if I'm looking at it, we need to decide if it has a D, a common difference, which is y2 minus y1, or a common ratio, which is y2 divided by y1. A common difference is what you add each time to an arithmetic sequence, whereas a common ratio is what you multiply by each time. So if I'm looking at this, I'm going to try the subtraction first. 22 minus 24 is a negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. So that means this is an arithmetic sequence. You are subtracting the same amount each time. So to write my formula, Tn equals, it starts at 24, and then each time I'm subtracting 2 times n minus 1. Alright, so for this next one, 2 to 4 is plus 2, 4 to 6 is plus 2, 6 to 8 is plus 2. So this sequence starts at 2, and then you add 2 times n minus 1. Both of those had a common difference. You were adding the same amount each time. A sequence can be generated using this formula, where T1 equals 3. What are the first 4 terms in the sequence? This is recursion formula. It's telling you where it starts, so it starts at 3. And then all it's telling us is that to get to the next term, you're going to multiply by 4. So 3 times 4 is 12, times 4 is 48, times 4, I'm going to say it's 192, but let me see, 48 times 4, yep, 192. Perfect. All right, suppose a population of 40 crickets. So there's your y-intercept, or your initial value. Okay, doubles. This means times 2 every month. This is your function, your initial value, or your y-intercept. The rate is 2 to the x. How many crickets will there be after 3 years? So I could put this equation in y equals 40 times 2 to the x. And remember, to get the x exponent, you click the caret button, which is right here under clear, and then x. And you're looking for after 3 years. It's 320. Okay. Miss Smith forgot her coffee at her desk. Haha, we both know that I don't drink coffee. I'm definitely a Coke drinker. All right. The table below gives the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit of the coffee recorded over a 10-minute period. Use a regression model to estimate the coffee temperature if Miss Smith goes back for her coffee after 15 minutes. So I'm going to use regression. So I've got stat, edit, and I'm going to type in my points. And then in Y2, I have 130, 116.2, 106.5, 102.4, 98.8, 96.2. It doesn't say whether it's exponential or linear. I'm going to assume it's exponential because this is the expo review. So when it's exponential, you're going to click stat, right, and you click 0. See how it says EXP regression? So 0. Click enter. And your equation is y equals 124.59. So that would be your initial value, which right here it's about 130, so that's pretty close, times your rate is 0.97 to the x. So now that I have the equation, I can go and I can guesstimate what it would be after 15 minutes. So after 15 minutes, it would be about 78.9 degrees. So make sure you see what it's asking you for. It's not only asking you for the equation, it's asking you after 15 minutes. Ken has decided to raise rabbits, but has been warned that the number of rabbits will double every month. Ken starts with 65 rabbits. So if I was writing the equation, we're starting with 65, Doubling means times 2 to the x. So this is exponential growth because it's doubling by a rate that is greater than 1. Exponential tells you it has to be curved, and growth tells you it has to go up. So this is a straight line. That's not exponential. This is not what the curve looks like, so it's not that one. So it's either going to be this one or this one. So I'm going to look to see some points. So this has 1, 200, 2, 600. This table has 290 or something like that. Okay, so I'm going to take these points and see which graph best matches my equation. So 65 times 2 to the x. Sorry, to the x. So at 2, this is at 260. At 2, this is at 600. So it's definitely got to be this one right here. So get some points and then write your equation and see which one matches. Suppose the population of a town is 8.6. I'm assuming that's 8,600, and is growing 3% each year. Anytime they give you a percent, we have to compare it to 1. So if it's growing, it's going to be 1 plus, and if we change 3 to a decimal, it's 0.03. If you have 3 cents in your pocket, it's not 0.3, it's 0.03. You're also removing it 2 times to the left. Write the equation to predict the population after 3 years. So y equals, it's starting at 8,600. This is your initial value or your y-intercept times 1 plus 0.03 to the x. And then you could plug this in your equation and look for where the x value is 3. A bacterial culture contains 15,000 organisms. Doctors have created a cure that breaks the bacteria in half every hour. Write the equation that best models this situation. So my initial value is this 15,000. Our rate is this half to the x. You didn't have to do 1 plus or 1 minus because it's not talking about that percent. If it has the percent, you have to compare it to 1. If it just gives you the rate, you just put the rate. Ms. Kutach's retirement account balance can be determined by this equation. What does the 1,200 represent? This is your initial value, which is also your y-intercept. Okay? This 1.11 is the rate, and this means it's a 11% increase. You look to see how much greater it is than 1. So this could be broken down 1 plus the 0.11, so it's 11% increase. A rectangle has an area of such and such. If the width is such and such, determine the length. So area is normally length times width. But they're giving us the area and the width, and they want the length, so we have to divide. So we're taking 12x to the 4th, y to the negative 4th, z to the negative 3rd, and we're dividing it by 3x squared, y negative 3, z to the 4th. And what we need to do is we need to move any of our negative exponents. Okay, so this is a y negative 4, so I'm going to put a y positive 4 on the bottom. A z negative 3, so I'm going to put a z positive 3 on the bottom. Y negative 3, so I'm going to put a y positive 3 on the top. It was on the bottom, so we moved it to the top. I'm going to use expansion. X to the 4th means we have 4 x's. 1, 2, 3, 4. Y to the 3rd means 3 y's. Over, we have a 3. We have an x squared. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 z's. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 y's. And then 1, 2, 3 z's. So when I'm dividing, you can cross off anything that's in common. This has 2 x's down here, so 2 x's up here. We have 3 y's up here, so 3 y's down here. And there's nothing else that can eliminate. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. And on top, you have x squared. On the bottom, we have a y. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 z's. So z to the 7th. And that's your answer. A rectangle garden has an area of this. The length of the fence is this. Find the width. So again, we know that area equals length times width. It's asking us for the width, so we need to divide these two things. So 24, m to the 4th, n to the 3rd, p to the 3rd, divided by 3m squared, n squared, p to the 4th. I'm going to use that expansion. Okay, so we have 24, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Over, we have a 3, m, because it's m squared, n, because it's n squared, p, p. 4 p's because it's p to the 4th. So there's 3 p's up here, so I can cross off 3 p's down here. 2 n's can cross off 2 n's. 2 m's can cross off 2 m's. So all 24 divided by 3, okay, is just 8. On top, we have 2 m's, so m squared, and an n. On the bottom, we have a p. On 11, anytime you have parentheses, you're multiplying this exponent. You are distributing this exponent to every single thing in here. So this would give me 2 to the 3rd, h to the 9th, j to the negative 9th, because I'm multiplying. 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times negative 3 is negative 9, k, 4 times 3 is 12. We don't distribute it to the bottom because the bottom's not in the parentheses. So I need to figure out what 2 to the 3rd is. So you simply type in 2 caret 3, and that tells you 8. I know that I need to cross off this j negative 9 and move it to the bottom, so j9. So we have an 8 over a 3. That doesn't reduce, so I'm going to leave my coefficients the same. My h, the only place we have h's is on the top, h9. J's, we have 2 sets of j's on the bottom. We have a j and a j9, which would give you j10 on the bottom. And then we have a k12 on top and a k1 on the bottom, so that would give you k11. All right, here. Now both sets of parentheses have something to distribute. So I'm giving this 1/2 to each part. So we have 16 to the 1/2, m to the negative 2. On the bottom, I'm distributing the 4, so we get m to the 12th. Negative exponents, we're going to cross off and move to the bottom. So I'm going to see, what is 16 to the 1/2 power? Make sure you put that 1/2 in parentheses. 16 to the 1/2 power. And it's 4. So we have a 4 on top. And then on the bottom, we have m12 and m2, which would give you m14. Because when you multiply, you add your exponents. What is the slope of a line that passes through these 2 points? -2, 4, and 3, -6. You could do it by hand, or you could use stat, okay? I'm going to do it by hand since we practiced stat. 4 to a -6, or -6 minus 4 is a -10. -2 to 3, so 3 minus a -2 is 5. You do your delta y on top, so -10 divided by 5 is a -2. This is your slope. Solve for slope-intercept form. This means get your y by itself. The y is almost by itself. There's nothing to move. To get rid of this -6, you divide by -6. Wee-oo, wee-oo, wee-oo. When you divide by a negative, you have to remember to flip that inequality. So 24 divided by -6 is a -4. This is a positive and a negative, so I know it's going to be a negative. And 3 divided by 6 is 1/2 x. I'm going to take it a step further and ask you how we would graph this. Okay, so your y-intercept would start at 0, -4. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of sketch a graph. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and if the slope is a -1/2, you're going to go down 1 and over 2. You're always going right 2. Up 1, and then I could go left 2 once I've got my line. So it's going to look something like this. Because there's no line underneath, it's going to be a dashed line. We don't draw the line if you don't see the line. And then remember Slim Shady, he looks like he's doing the right thing. This symbol matches an eyeball, so you shade above for his eyebrows. And then a solution would be anywhere in the shaded area. So 0, 0 would be a solution, 5, 5 would be a solution, whatever number or point would fall over here.